Hi everybody, welcome to episode 7 of the Like, Click and Share podcast, and we're back on video this episode. Amazingly, I found the audio as well, but we are on Zencaster. We've moved away from Restream, so a big shout out to Zencaster and to their support team who helped us with some audio issues. It was just such a bad day when we recorded the last episode, but we all sounded like we were drunk and we do chat on a bit, but we don't have too many drinks while we were recording. But if you don't know me, my name's Darren Winter, and with me today are Gemma Walton and Emma Krause.
Hello!
Hi everyone.
I might have a drink. I've got all my children isolating at home.
Right then, over to you, Gem.
So if this is your first time listening, I'm Gemma and we all work in marketing and communications, whether as business owners or freelancers, and we're here to talk you through the latest big topics in marketing and how they can help you grow your business, whether you're freelance, own your business, or you're just interested in how marketing can help you.
And I'm Emma, and I'm always here to just say a big thanks for listening to us, and we hope you find this podcast helpful and interesting, and we'd love to hear any feedback you might have about it, and put all your comments and questions in the notes, and you can email us at Duco Digital, so emma@ducodigital.com, or you can find us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and now on YouTube, all the usual places. Just search for Duco Digital. All the links are in the show notes. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't ever miss an episode. And you can subscribe to receive us automatically. Thanks.
Fabulous stuff. So the topic this episode is procrastination, and I think we probably all agree that we get the feeling from time to time where we just don't want to do something and we keep putting it off. Sometimes might get it in the morning, we're thinking, I just can't be bothered to get up and do work today, or there's just a certain task, I just don't want to do it. And most of the time it seems to be probably just kind of menial tasks, or maybe a massive job, and you think, I just don't know how to go about this, so you just don't tend to do it, and then just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and becomes a real problem. So I thought, just to kick us off here, it would be good to look at kind of 4 types of avoidance personalities. So the first one, and see out of these 4 which one you might fit more. So could you be a performer? So this procrastinator forces themselves to focus by shrinking at the time they have to tackle a task. So they look at the end time, the end goal, rather than just getting started and being realistic. So their challenge tends to be getting started, but the solution for them is to get a realistic start date and be less focused about the end date. So I think I suffer from that a little bit, where you're thinking, I can get it done by 5 o'clock. And then you just keep focusing on just knocking the tasks off, but actually looking at the task and thinking, actually, I just need to get on with it and start it, but then do a proper job, and just giving it its time that it needs to do it. So that's classed as a performer. Number 2, could you be a self-deprecator? So this person is extra hard on themselves, and they tend to blame laziness rather than admit that they're just tired. That's a good example there of a self-deprecator. So their challenge is to take a break, and then their solution is to do something different from the task that they're normally doing. So maybe go for a walk or do something just to recharge themselves. So again, I'm pretty much one of those people, more this type of person. So I'm pretty hard on myself. I always have to keep pushing myself, keep going until I drop. So it's not a great way of working. Number 3, could you be an overbooker? They're always so busy. They're always complaining that they're filling their calendar with so much time, but actually they don't really get many tasks done because they're always busy doing other things. So their challenge is they tend to create chaos and to avoid facing what needs to be done. So the solution there, they just need to face up to themselves and ask themselves what they're trying to really avoid. So, why do you keep just filling up the calendar? You need to get on with the jobs that you need to be doing, striking a balance. And the last one, could you be a novelty seeker? The novelty seeker is always coming up with great ideas, but they get really bored quite quickly. So they tend to not finish a project. I know somebody who's like that.
I think of every one of these.
so you might be asked if you're a starter or a completer. So if you're a novelty seeker, you're definitely more of a starter and you're not really a completer. So you never really finish tasks. So your challenge is definitely completion. And the solution for if you're this type of group of people is that you just need to make a list of your ideas and try to make a rule that you don't start another task or a new task until you finish one. Emma, that's a nice segue onto you.
Honestly, I see myself in every one of those personality disorders. I think it's really difficult. I think as we've looked into this topic, I've really realised how dangerous procrastination can be, particularly if you run a small business, and also, I guess, if you work for someone else that they don't want to pay you for wasting time. And it is definitely about being effective and not squandering your time. As an own business owner, I realised that I looked the fact up that if you waste 5 minutes an hour procrastinating, not achieving, not being efficient with your time over a working week, that's 7 hours. That's a whole day. You could just do something that you want to do. That's a whole day to go and have some fun. I'm sorry, everybody, if you got that alert. So it's really a good thing to pay attention to, I think, and see where you can improve and see what you need to pay attention to. I've got a few hacks, if that's helpful, a few kind of things that might help. But yeah, it is funny. I do recognise myself in all of those personality traits.
That's cool. Let's listen to a couple of hacks then, and then we'll bring in Gemma.
Well, I think one of the most important things with procrastination is to, like you say, understand why are you not getting the things you've done, but obviously to see the obstacles that are in your way, maybe more as challenges, maybe things that you've got to deal with rather than just bricks in your road. And if you start by writing lists and trying to be that person, every day I try to be that person, and then really look at your list and really look at the things that are going to make an impact for you. What's worth doing? So what's really going to be, I'd like to organise the things for us to do on holiday, but really I know I've got to get the Instagram shopping sorted because I need the sales in my bank. So I've got to do those, has the biggest impact on my day first. So you have to tackle your most important tasks first. Worst first is a phrase that I've heard, and also other people call it swallowing the frog. So kind of doing the thing that you don't want to do first, so it's out the way, and it's not just then feeding into this cycle of procrastination, feeding into this, oh, I don't want to do it, and letting that anxiety build up and all those barriers just get bigger. So just get the worst thing done first and get it out of your way. And then something my sister says all the time, which I think is really good, is breaking things down into chunks. Her slogan is, how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So you eat an elephant one bite at a time, don't you? So you do it slowly, you do it in chunks and chunks and chunks, and then suddenly it would all be gone. So you break down the task, and even then you still might find it difficult. You still might find it overwhelming, so you're wanting to put it off. Break it down again. Break it down, even if you get to the point of find your car keys, open the door, break the task down, and eat that elephant one step at a time, and you will be achieving them. One thing in the research that I did, there's loads of stuff about changing your environment, paying attention. Are you tired, actually? And I think in this pandemic and working from home, that's really, we should pay attention to that. And I wonder if a lot of people are actually just struggling with burnout rather than procrastination. And so just be aware of that. But also when doing the research for this, I found out about a thing called the Zeigarnik effect, which was a long time ago, I think in the 60s, a psychologist was watching waitresses in a cafe in Switzerland, I think it was. And these waitresses were able to remember massive orders, and it was like without writing it down, and they were able to do that. And when they delivered the order, they'd write it down, and they'd just forget all of that order and just get on with the next thing. And that's called the Zeigarnik effect. And when you're stuck in a cycle of procrastination and you don't feel like you can move, you need to just do something that opens that mental cycle again. And I'd realised that often when I'm feeling that sort of paralysis, like I just don't know what to do, I often just go and change the dishwasher, because that's something that I can do. It always needs doing, but it just starts something going again, and I can break that cycle. So I was really pleased to find that had a real, actual, official name.
I tend to struggle like that on a Saturday morning, I think, because when you've been used to doing tasks time after time after time with scheduled meetings and doing jobs in such an orderly way, when it comes to having a bit of free time, it's almost like, wow, I've actually got time to do stuff, but where do I start from? So I end up almost like for an hour, like sitting there thinking, what should I do first? And I'm thinking, do you know what? I'll just go and do something, like you say, just go and do something quite menial, but just to get going, so then I can get into the rhythm of doing stuff.
Well, one of the other tips is to be inspired. So to surround yourself, to listen to blogs, to check in with podcasts or nature or whatever it is that kind of floats your boat, but would give you that sort of inspiration to do things. I was interested in this. So my son is on a quite intensive, really intensive sports program for 800 running, and I think it's daily, and it's quite grueling, and it's really, if you're going to sort of go for elite sport, you have to really be dedicated, and that's difficult for a teenager as well. There's loads that he's got to grow into doing this, and so we've been trying to really inspire him with the Team GB stuff that's coming out through for the Olympics, and it's really helping him, and he's looking at like the other 800-meter runners now, the Daniel Roden and all of these guys who are doing stuff, and realizing that all of this is possible. So maybe you could find some podcasts or blogs, or Daniel Roden, the team runner, does like Q&As on YouTube. And maybe that you could find some inspiration that would help break that procrastination for you down. Or you can come and change my dishwasher. That always needs doing. There's, I think, going back to your personality, let's not call them disorders. I'm sure there's a way we can spin that positively. There's a big thing about being honest with yourself. And I think if you're able to look at the things that are in your way that are distractions, then that's really helpful, and being aware of your behavior is really helpful. And some of those things there's not a lot you can do. There's not a lot. You can't sleep less. You can't help it if all the kids get sent home. So there's some things that you can't do. But maybe I could have left the washing machine this morning. I could have just walked past it. I could have, just be honest about the things that you're distracted in the priority. If I went to work, I wouldn't be doing the washing, and so stuff like that. One thing that I thought this was a really great topic, and I found loads of things about it. But be really clear about your goals, and really use your goals to have a focus, and that action will reap those rewards for you. So don't get stuck. Be clear about why you're doing things, and if the things that you're doing don't take you closer to your goals, then that is procrastination, and leave that. That's just a real hindrance to you, and it doesn't help. Sometimes I find myself spending time clearing out my emails, which is ridiculous. I've got thousands. I don't need to be doing that. I'm well too far down that route. But I do need to make sure that I get some sales done, or get the invoicing done, or do the things that I've made commitments to do. So really be honest about the things you're doing. One thing I read is that I found some really great life hack stuff on YouTube, really great mindful things. There's a lot of people who are willing to help. Don't then spend 3 hours looking at stuff like procrastinating on procrastinating. But one lady was talking about be like a rhino, and that rhinos, when they are focused on a task, focused on stampeding, they literally just put their heads down and charge at it at 40 miles an hour. They don't look up, they don't look around, they are not distracted from their focus, they're not distracted on what they're doing. And so she had a little rhino, and she was saying we all just sometimes just need to be a bit more rhino. I think it's been difficult for everyone, and being kind with yourself this year is really important. But I think then there are things that you can help yourself with, some of those topics, some of those points.
There's some really good tips there. So I think we're going to bring in Gemma, who's got a few questions that we can try and give to listeners, so they've got something to take away that they can ask themselves. What do you reckon, Gem?
Yeah, so I was having a look on this topic, and I came across a guy called Jeff Hayden, who he put together an article about wanting to stop procrastinating in 2021. And the new research that's being done says you should ask yourself the same 4 questions. So the 4 questions were: how would successful people achieve this goal? How will I feel if I don't complete the task or run out of time to make it great? What is one thing I can do to make sure I finish on time? And what is the first or next thing I need to do? And I think they're probably really good questions to ask yourself if you're struggling with a task. And what do you need to do? What do you guys think?
I think they're brilliant. I think they're great questions. Well, I think we'll get those questions. We'll put those in the show notes underneath, because those are 4 really great questions. And then if you ask yourselves those questions, those open up to what Emma was talking about then she's giving you some strategies about how you can get around whatever answers you come up with by yourself asking those questions, to what you can do. What do you reckon, Gem, to that?
I think the other thing was as well that I came across, there was a survey that MicroBizMag did, where they surveyed 1,000 adults in the UK between the 6th and 8th of January in 2020. And the results were 15.6% of people claim to never procrastinate. But 84% of the population has experience in putting off the all-important to-do tasks. And out of those people, just under 14.5% admitted to procrastinating rarely, 27% do so sometimes, 22% do so often, and 20% procrastinate daily. So I think those figures probably are quite accurate. I think probably the figure for daily, I think probably should be a lot higher, because I think everybody you speak to, I don't know if it's just at this point in time where we're at, but I know for me, if I'm interested in something, I find it much easier to get going and get starting if I've got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
But if it's a topic or a subject that it doesn't really interest me personally, so like numbers and like accountancy and like figures, things like that, that's a hard thing for me, and I'll find myself doing anything but something that's going to be on a topic like that, or if I've got to do something around that, or if it's like data and insights, looking at analytics, things like that, it's like, oh, I've got to, but like numbers and maths and stuff like that, that's the one thing for me that I'm like, oh, and I will look for anything to do but we'll try to do that. But if it's something that you're interested in or you're passionate about, then straight away you're on it, aren't you? And you're just like, yeah, it's something I can do.
I think that goes back to what Emma was saying. You just have to be honest with yourselves. You can't be good at everything.
Totally.
And certainly we're obviously, marketing, but it can be anything in life, can't it? You can't be good at everything. So you have to kind of admit that, and it might take you a little bit longer, or you might have to mix it up or break it down. There is a really good technique called the Pomodoro technique, where you only work 15 minutes at a time. So you break your work up into 15-minute segments. So you do 15 minutes of like clear work, take a break, and then do another 15 minutes, and you keep going, working your way through. I've used it once or twice, so it's quite an interesting technique, and it's good for I find it very good for like really heavy tasks, like you say, like analytics and real things like need a lot of concentration, because you can't sit there for a full hour and work your way through. But you'll probably know those types of tasks in your job. But I think this has been a really great podcast. There's so many tips here, and I hope everybody listening has found it really helpful as well. Definitely, please let us know what you think. We've got our details in the show notes. We're going to be back in a couple of weeks' time. We're going to be talking about Christmas. Christmas is not that long away, so we're going to be talking about Christmas, and then the next episode after that, we're going to be talking about influencer marketing. So there's plenty to look out for. And if you haven't already, please listen back to some of the podcasts we've already recorded. Sort of talk about email marketing on the last episode. And there's loads of other really great topics that we've been talking about in terms of like marketing planning and social media. So have a listen. But it'd be great to hear from you. Anything that you'd like to talk about or like us to talk about, or perhaps you'd like to appear on the podcast itself, and then please just reach out to us, because we're looking for guests, and we'd love to have you on the show. So we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll catch up with you soon. Look after yourselves.
Bye.